Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Aneta Felix. The Zamfara State Police Command has confirmed the killing of 5 persons in Gidan Halilu village in Benin Magaji local government area. Zamfara spokesman Mohammed Shehu noted that 1 person was injured in the attack, but assured that normalcy has been restored in the area. He appealed to residents to remain vigilant and report any suspicious movements to the nearest police station for prompt action. Residents of Zamfara State have been the target of attacks by unknown gunmen in 2018. This latest attack comes more than a month after 17 officers were killed in various operations across the northwestern state. Now in Lagos, a suspected leader of the terrorist sect Boko Haram has been arrested by officers of the Nigerian police force. The suspect, identified as Umar, was arrested by men of the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team. Police spokesman Jimo Moshood says Umar is believed to be responsible for the bombings in Yaya, Abuja in 2015 and the attack on a location in Gwagwalada in the Federal Capital Territory. The arrest follows a previous operation which led to the capture of 4 members of Umar's gang 3 weeks ago in Abuja. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has warned officers of the Nigerian police force not to engage in unprofessional conduct such as illegal detentions, extrajudicial killings, torture, and violation of fundamental human rights. President Buhari says such acts are unacceptable and must be avoided by the Nigerian police force at all times. He pledged that his administration will continue to do all that is possible to make the Nigerian police efficient and responsive to the security needs of Nigeria by providing the necessary assistance to make its operation technology-based. Now, the Nigerian government has again reacted to allegations of negligence in the killings of Nigerians levied against it by Amnesty International. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the report by the body is largely outdated. He also disclosed several states where arrests have been made to prove government actions to stop killings by armed gunmen. Amnesty International has again reacted to the allegation of bias. The chairman of the Nigerian branch, Awal Rafsanjani, says the body was honest in the gathering of data used to compile the report. He also dismissed suggestions that the body is trying to ridicule the Nigerian government.
As a matter of fact, we went the villages within the 5 states that this clashes have happened in the last 3 years. We have gone there 52 times. We have conducted more than 260 interviews, were conducted. We have also verified and, review reports, complaints, from different communities, of over 200, complaints and reports. And when we did that, we didn't just go to the press to present this. We equally, drew the attention, or rather sending a draft, to the relevant government agencies to also verify some of this. I want to assure the general public that Amnesty International is not just, interested just to blame anybody, but we are actually, providing opportunity for government to either refute or to confirm, allegation.
Now, as the police continues to investigate the circumstances surrounding the murder of a former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Marshal Alex Bade, the Nigerian Air Force (NAF) is now insisting that adequate security was provided to the former Chief of Air Staff who was killed by a gunman while en route to his farm on Abuja Kefi Road. Air Force spokesman Ibikunle Daramola says erroneous reports and comments being spread about the incident could have adverse effects on the ongoing conduct of operations. Daramola also dismissed reports that the driver of the late former CDS, who was also shot during the incident, was dead. He maintained that the driver is alive and responding to treatment. The spokesman also says substantial progress had been made in the investigation and that details will be communicated at the appropriate time. The Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, Lai Mohammed, says the Nigerian government is not wary of another strike by labor unions. The labor unions have given the federal government a deadline of December 31st to send the tripartite committee report on the 30,000 naira minimum wage to the National Assembly. The 3 labor unions gave the ultimatum following President Muhammadu Buhari's statement that a high-powered technical committee would be set up to devise ways to ensure that its implementation did not lead to an increase in the level of borrowing. But the NLC President Ayuba Waba warned that organized labor cannot guarantee industrial peace and harmony in the country if the wage report was not passed for implementation on or before December 31st. But Lai Mohammed is assuring that the government will reach a resolution with the union.
The Nigerian Labour Congress is a very patriotic union, and I am very confident that they will not do anything that will embarrass the government or do anything that is going to, worsen the situation. Engagement, constant engagement, I think, is the key. We'll continue to engage them, and I think they also fully understand what the challenges are. And both parties are determined to ensure that a common ground is arrived at, which will be comfortable for all.
Now, the minister also responded to comments by Senate President Bukola Saraki on the 2019 elections. He says he will not join issues with the Senate leader and maintain that the current administration has performed well in 2018.
It's not the practice of the executive to start, exchanging words with the legislative arm of government. They are independent, we're independent. But to the best of our knowledge, we presented a budget that we, given the circumstances of our resources this year, we think that's the best we can. It is left for the National Assembly to consider it. This is probably the last working day except from Monday for Christmas, and wish everybody Merry Christmas. As a government, we're very glad and we're very happy that we've been able to meet all our promises, all our obligations to Nigerians. And as the year rolls out, we are more determined even to deliver more to Nigerians.
President Muhammadu Buhari has commended members of his support group for their contribution towards its re-election bid. The president expressed his appreciation at a meeting with the group at the presidential villa. The group was led by its national coordinator, Usman Ibrahim, who also commended the president for his efforts in the government.
I am honestly impressed and grateful for this group of more than 2.5 million Nigerians that have dedicated themselves for so long to serve this country under the auspices of this organization, the MBO Dynamic Support Group. I'm very impressed with the composition. I'm impressed with the presentation you have made today. And I think the two members of my executive council that accompanied you, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Information and Culture. I honestly do not know the details of this your organization until today. Which means is conviction driven. If you don't believe in it, you wouldn't have been working for so long without imposing yourself on me at one stage or the other. I very much appreciate this, and I thank Dr. Innocent Ifediaso for his generosity in supporting you.
This man has an ideology, and we feed into his ideology, and we support that unity first. Unity first as a Nigerians who can come together irrespective of your creed, where you come from, or your religion, or your even your language. That is why we're here. So the structure, I'm still going to give you the answer, is that 21 of us here. I do give a little, brief about it to the president in my speech. that 21 of us will structure it like this. And in Rosai, that started in 2014. The three officers there, representing Wazobia, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. Whether you like it or not, other tribes, we don't call them minority actually. Every Nigerian is a majority. Every tribe is a majority. That's what my belief.
And in the governorship race, candidates of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, in Lagos State, Babatunde Gbadamosi, has pledged to assist victims of the Abule-Agba pipeline fire. Millions of properties were destroyed and several buildings razed in the inferno, which resulted from a pipeline explosion on Wednesday.
They've camouflaged it like a shop, and they've dug through the ground into the pipeline and just basically sabotaged it, all in the effort to, make money illegally. At the end of the day, if people were more gainfully employed, if more people were not losing their jobs, we got the figures from the National Bureau of Statistics the other day that 20.9 million Nigerians are now out of their jobs. Now, 10% of the population of Nigeria roughly lives in Lagos State. Actually, over 10% of the population of Nigeria lives in Lagos State. It stands to reason that more than 10% of the people of Lagos State are probably out of their jobs now. The latest, more depressing information that we got was that the merger of Access Bank and Diamond Bank has resulted in the loss of about 1,000 jobs and a closure of about 100 branches nationwide. I will not want this kind of situation to continue. We have to find a way around it. We have to pull together as a people in these times of tragedy to look for ways forward. I want to thank the officers and men of the Lagos State Fire Service for their prompt response, especially. I'm made to understand by locals here, I haven't spoken to a number of people, that the Lagos State Fire Service arrived really quickly. First it was one vehicle, and then others joined in short order, and that the men fought gallantly to keep the fire in check. And I believe in the end, that's what saved so many lives. Now, it is important for us to understand the value of these men and to value their labor appropriately and accordingly. It is very, very important to me personally, having been through what I've been through in Nigeria and having watched a lot of things go on that shouldn't be happening in a modern country, that we value labor from our public servants better. We don't. And that's the reason why we have a lot of problems with just fixing our country and getting things to work. I want to thank the government of Lagos State, the current government of Lagos State, for at least doing that one bit with the emergency services. They've done reasonably well. We know that we're going to do better, but they've done reasonably well considering what has come before.
A chief magistrate court in Kano on Friday remanded Deji Adeoju in prison until February 2019 after taking his plea and concluding that it lacks jurisdiction to hear murder charges against the political activist. The police arrested Adeoju on December 13, accusing him of being complicit in a murder case from the 2000s. But on Friday, the judge, Hassan Fage, ruled he lacks the power to hear the homicide charges, but said the political activist should be remanded in prison until February 6, when a higher court could be available to hear the matter. We're going to break now and return with business stories right after this.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
And you're welcome back. Let's now join Fidelia Aguncha for business updates. Hello, Fidelia.
Hi, Aneta.
So what's the latest on President Muhammadu Buhari's budget proposal?
Well, it's now more than 48 hours since the president submitted the 2019 budget proposal to the National Assembly lawmakers. Now, the 2019 document, which the president says is based on economic growth and recovery plan, has an oil price benchmark of $60 per barrel, while production has a benchmark of 2.3 million barrels per day, including condensate. Now, the exchange rate is pegged at 305 naira per dollar, while GDP expectation is 3.01% and inflation at 9.98%. The figures has generated different reactions, and TV360 has been speaking with Johnson Chukwu, the managing director of Cowries Asset Limited, to find out his opinion about the budget.
I think on the inflation rate, we should expect further uptick in inflation, but after the election, assuming we adopt appropriate economic policies and the election is successful, then we should have a return of foreign portfolio investors that could help stabilize the exchange rate. But should that not happen, the exchange rate will come under pressure, and if the exchange rate comes under pressure, it will be transmitted to the consumer price index. So you could actually see a further northward movement in inflation. Given where we are today and the level we dropped last year, today inflation is about 11.28%, and the government is budgeting about 9.98% inflation for next year. I think it's possible, if we get the policies right, that towards the end of next year, we could be close to that 9.98%, if we don't achieve it exactly. But the other concerns are on the economic growth rate, with the GDP growth of 3.01%. I think unless the government comes up with better policies, I want to believe that 3% GDP growth rate will maybe a tall order. If you look at those sectors that should drive GDP growth rate, agriculture accounts for about 29% of the GDP, and agriculture grew about 1.91% in the last quarter. So if the 1/3 of the GDP is growing about 1.91%, then what sectors will prepare that growth rate of 3%? Unless the manufacturing sector is growing above current growth rate, trade is growing, telecommunication is growing, and oil and gas sector reverses the decline, then your target of 3% GDP growth rate looks quite optimistic. Oil price, I want to believe before the National Assembly will finish the review of the budget, they will have to bring it down. This will be otherwise, it will be the first time we have an oil benchmark price that at the point of the budget submission or approval was higher than the crude price, market price of crude. We always set the benchmark below, significantly below the crude price, so that assuming the crude prices fluctuate, they will fluctuate still above our budget benchmark. But unfortunately for us, this time around, the crude price had dropped below the benchmark. So the National Assembly, I'm sure, will want to reduce that crude price to reflect the current strength of the oil in the oil market.
Well, oil prices climbed on Friday after tumbling 5% in the previous session on signs that OPEC's production cuts that starts next month will be deeper than expected. Brent crude futures were up by 27 cents at $54.62 a barrel, while US crude futures were at $46.22 a barrel. Crude prices have been falling along with major equity markets as investors fret about the strength of the global economy heading into next year. Well, it's time for the stock market review right after this. Well, it was indeed a volatile trading week at the NSE, with the market recording 3 days of declines and 2 days in the greens. Closing in the negative territory today, the NSE was pulled down by 0.09% from losses recorded in the banking sector, which declined by 0.56%. But despite these falls, the all-share index has appreciated by 164%, 164 points actually since the start of trading this week, closing at 30,773.64 basis points. And this translates to a 60 billion naira boost in the market capitalization. Now, on topping the losers chart, that's the losers chart right here, is Seplat, as we can see from the oil and gas sector recording a total loss of 10 naira since the start of trading this week. Now, Dangote Cement is the second biggest loser, but it's closing better than it started after reaching a week high of 190 naira per share. Dangote is closing at 187 naira, which is 1 naira up from the 186 naira at which it began trading this week. It was also a bad day for Guarantee Trust Bank, which has dropped by 2 naira since trading this week, and Access Bank has the least loss among the equities on this chart, dropping by 40 kobo for the week. Well, on the flip side right here, we can see Mobil, we can see Nestle, Total, and Okomu Oil. And leading the pack of gainers with a 16 naira boost in its share price is Mobil right here, and it is followed by Nestle and Total, both reversing yesterday's loss, gaining by a combined 18 naira. Fourth on the list is Okomu Oil Palm, growing by over 3 naira. And in summary, we can see that the total dues for today is 2,922, and the value of shares traded is 3.65 billion naira, and the total number of shares traded today is over 193 million shares. And going global now, we can see that the Dow is the only one in the greens, and this is despite a fear that the Washington might be shutting down, government might be shutting down in the U.S., but it is still rising. And this rise actually is on the back of gains recorded by Nike on the Dow, while the FTSE is declining by 0.31%, and Nikkei is still in the red for the fourth straight day. And this is as the yen continues to appreciate in strength against the US dollar. The Nikkei is dropping. Well, that's it on the stock market. Back to you, Anetta.
Thank you so much, Fidelia. Sad day globally on the stock market. I mean, FTSE and Nikkei down. Well, good to know that the Dow Jones is up about 300 points.
Yes, that's correct.
So we'll take a break now and we'll return shortly. Do stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Cut. All right. What's your name again? Kemi?
Yes, sir.
Good. Are you ready for us for next week?
Yes, sir.
Next.
No, sir. No.
What? Look, what we need here is one who can speak fluent English. Give her a chance.
I need a angel to hold me. Hold me, my beautiful angel.
Cut! It is Angel, not Angel. Please, I'm done with you. Excuse us. Kemi was far better.
It's not about our rendition. It's not about our performance here. By the time she and her friends join us in our hotel rooms, you will know how far.
Can I have her phone?
She has a robust profile.
Real robust profile. I do not undercut professional ethics. It is an act of corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
6 people have been killed when a plane chartered by DR Congo's Election Commission crashed near Kinshasa Airport. The Antonov 26 crashed as it was about to land after delivering election materials to Shikapa in the center of the country. The consignment comprising election result forms was safely delivered before the accident. Belgium is due to extradite a former Rwandan Army Major, Bernard Nyahaga, to Rwanda. He was released from a Belgian jail in June after serving 20 years but remained in a refugee center as he sought asylum in Belgium. He has described effort to send him back to Rwanda as a death sentence. Now, in sports, rivals Nigeria and Cameroon found themselves at the opposite ends of the draw for the final tournament of the Under-17 African Cup of Nations slated for Tanzania in 2019. Two-time champions Nigeria are in Group A alongside host country Tanzania, together with Angola and debutants Uganda. Cameroon, champions in 2003, were drawn in Group B alongside top seeds Guinea, Morocco and Senegal. The final tournament will be held from April 14 to April 28th in Tanzania, and the semi-finalists will qualify to represent the continent at the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Peru next year. Now, the Australian Open has joined Wimbledon in introducing a final set tie-break from next year's competition, according to the new rules, which will come into force at the January 14 to 27 event. Matches tied at 6-6 in the final set will move into a tie-break, and the first player to reach 10 points with a difference of 2 will win the contest. The Australian Open's move means that each of the 4 Grand Slams has a different way of deciding the final set. The US Open employs traditional tie-breaks, even in the final set, with the first player to reach 7 points with a difference of 2 declared the winner. The French Open does not have a final set tie-break, with matches continuing until a player secures a 2-game lead in the decider. And that's been the world news on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Do follow us on all social media platforms and log on to our website at www.tv360nigeria.com. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.